be held accountable for our law and this injustice. Every single one of you.
Welcome to Supermax, a prison where the worst prisoners in the state are held under the most extraordinary of circumstances. The Australian has been given exclusive access inside Goulburn's High Risk Management Correctional Centre. We'll show you what it's like, who's here, and more importantly, what the community can expect when these men start to get out. What we found was a hotbed of radical Islam, a place where the country's most notorious extremists reinforce each other's beliefs and quietly nurse their grievances against the society that nurtured them.
This is a bunch of scumbags.
5 times a day, Goulburn's correctional facility goes quiet. In the yard of the general prison, dozens of inmates face Mecca and bow down to pray. For the general prison population, religion is a source of comfort, or just another diversion from the drudgery of jail life. A few hundred metres away in the fortress of Supermax, most of the inmates are doing the same thing. But there's a difference. Here, religion remains an obsession. It is the reason most of the inmates were locked up and, as the years tick over, it's what keeps them going. The weekend Australian has been given unprecedented access to Supermax. We head first to Unit 9, where the unsentenced prisoners are held. Unit 9 is effectively a remand centre for New South Wales' most dangerous men. Here, the average age is just 21. We can't name the inmates, but they're recognisable enough. Australia's most notorious serial killer is here, and in the cell next door is a rangy Lebanese boy staring daggers at us. I recognise him too. In April last year, he was moved from Kempsey Prison to the Supermax after he bashed his cellmate, doused him in boiling water, and carved E for E, or an eye for an eye, into his forehead. The guards call him the Carver. A few cells down is a young man at the centre of Australia's biggest terrorism plot. He was arrested in September 2014 over an alleged conspiracy to abduct and behead a random member of the public. These are the inmates Supermax deals with. They're inside either because they were too hard to manage in other prisons or because they're in for terrorist offences. Mostly the latter.
Worldwide there's decisions whether you cluster or separate or disperse. So New South Wales, rightly or wrongly, chose to cluster. And that's been the way we have managed these guys historically since. When you cluster, you have all of these people together naturally in one place. They're less able or likely to radicalise others in that environment than if they were spread out.
They're radicalising each other instead. We've only been inside the corridors of Unit 9 for 5 minutes and already the prisoners are getting towed. Our guide can feel the tension rising. He doesn't want the inmates too rolled up, so we move on.
This is a bunch of scumbags.
In Unit 8, it's quieter. The prisoners here are older and less excited by this unexpected change to their routine. Prisoners spend at least 16 hours a day in their cells. They eat in them, shower in them, defecate in them. They can have a radio, a TV and a kettle, but no internet. When the Carr government opened Supermax back in 2001, the plan was for a maximum security prison that would be used to house the state's most difficult offenders. Escapees, psychopaths, crime bosses intent on running their empires from within the 4 walls of their cells. This was Supermax's core business. Then came September 11 and, more than a decade later, the age of Islamic State. The prison that had been built to handle the system's toughest crooks became instead a holding pen for Muslim terrorists, the most radical square mile in all of Australia. The generation of Al-Qaeda terrorists sentenced in the aftermath of 9/11 are already coming up for parole. Few are already out. Khalid Sharif did a brief spell in Supermax after he was convicted over his role in the 2005 Pendennis terror plot to bomb targets in Sydney and Melbourne. It didn't do much good. In 2013, Sharif fled for Syria, where he was last seen brandishing severed heads and executing Iraqi officials in the sands outside Mosul. In August this year, Bilal Khazal, a 46-year-old former baggage handler convicted of making a terror training manual, will try his luck before the parole board. There's a reasonable prospect he'll get out. The others will start dribbling out in the years after that. New laws that will allow authorities to detain unrepentant extremists beyond the term of their sentence will, in theory, apply to many of Supermax's inmates. New South Wales Corrective Services Commissioner Peter Severin says that as it stands, virtually all of Supermax's sentenced terrorists would be candidates for this new sanction.
The prisoners that are in Supermax right now, who are sentenced for terror-related offences, would all be in that category. We would not want them to be moving straight from Supermax into the community.
Severin acknowledges the challenges of trying to de-radicalise hardened jihadis inside the Supermax, but to him the priority is clear.
For me, the responsibility to the rest of the system and the broader community, and national security for that matter, outweighs the negative effects that the concentration of those individuals might have.
Severin says that outside of the Supermax there is no widespread problem of radicalisation across the prison system, and by all accounts he's right.
We have, up to this point in time, 4 documented examples of people being radicalised whilst in prison. We can say with confidence that we don't have a system-wide or systemic radicalisation in our normal facilities.
There's no God but one God. Nah, look, at the end of the day, there's mutual respect here with everyone. Man. Good luck to everyone, whatever belief they have, whatever religion they... You know what I mean?
When we visited the Lebanese yard in Goulburn Jail proper, the inmates made a show of praying but were far more interested in horsing around for the cameras.
Yeah, no, we got no problem. Any girls?
This isn't to make light of their beliefs or be naive about their crimes, but it was anything but a hotbed of radical preaching. But as the Supermax starts disgorging its inmates, the risk to the community will be profound. None of this is the fault of the staff. They're not social workers, they're prison officers. But thinking back to the carver, prowling his cell like a caged animal, it's difficult not to believe we're kicking the can down the road. What happens when we get to the end?